Hello, Merry Meet. I was watching video from the Young Turks here the other day, and this video is sort of about that, but not completely. It's a video, and I'm gonna link to it down there about um, the prayer habits of Americans. And while the video in itself is interesting with how much people pray, what they pray for, and so on, what I really got inspiration to make a video about it was how similar this is to what we pagans do. A lot of people sort of feel like witches and pagans do this strange, mystical, scary thing. Well, really, when you look at that video, you see it's exactly the same. Though we apply the word magic instead of the word prayer. Though some of us use prayer as well, it's basically exactly the same. Using a spiritual or supernatural cause to do things in the world around us and in us. And I have made a video about this before, but I thought it would be interesting to have a talk about it in context of that video. Now, for example, what it was mentioned was praying for family members, praying for the betterment of the world, praying for a better job, praying for parking space, all of these different things that witches also find themselves doing magic for. Now, of course, many Christians would balk at it, at the idea that what we do are the same. The very concept that what we witches do and what they do are the same thing. And I mean, this video isn't to change the minds of those people, but rather to say that for a lot of people who look at you strangely when you say, I'm a witch, then showing them that video and saying it's basically exactly the same thing I do, except that I use candles and visualization with what I do. That can be a way to both not make people basically dispel it so people don't think that you are insane, but also help change some of the myths of what magic is. Because when you use the word magic, a lot of people get this idea of this strange, otherworldly thing, which is in a way it is, but so is prayer. And it's very easy to say that, oh, my aunt is very Christian, she prays all the time, but that, of course, is completely sane, completely normal, while while you call yourself a witch, so clearly you're crazy, while seeing that it's actually exactly the same thing. When a Christian say, dear God, can you help me find parking today? That's exactly the same thing as a pagan, a witch, an occultist, whatever, do when we might visualize finding the perfect parking spot. So, I mean, sure, within the Christian religion, there's a huge difference between doing something with the power of God, or basically asking God to do something for you, and praying to other gods and so on and so forth. And this video is not really about that. It's not really about the metaphysics of it, but on that level. But it's more about the methods. The concepts are very much the same. And as such, perhaps that can help some people see that spells are not that strange. I mean, a lot of people, when they think of a magic user, witch, sorcerer, anything, they think Gandalf, they think the mages in fantasy books, and so on and so forth. And in a way, it's an exaggerated idea of the truth, just like CSI is an exaggerated idea of what actual crime scene investigators do. And it is, of course, based on real life ideas of Magick. But what I mean with this video is that Magick is not something that strange old men with long beards do. It's something that actually a majority of the people in the world do. Basically, it's all in the word, really, because a majority of Americans, for example, let's have America, pray, and pray quite regularly. And that's, from a pagan point of view, magic. It's appealing to power beyond us, to affect change, whatever in us or around us, and it's exactly the same thing. And I think that a lot of people need to be told this because they see it as some sort of odd, strange thing when people say they believe in magic while they might go home and do the exact same thing themselves. Because when people say, oh no, you believe in magic, you have to be crazy. And then they go home and pray that they'll be able to find the winning lottery numbers. Or that their brother will get well from his cancer. Or something like that, which is exactly the same thing. The only difference is that when it's called prayer, that's part of so many people's everyday life that we are used to that. We're used to the word prayer. When we say, Lisa prayed for my brother to regain his health, that seems perfectly normal because a majority of people within the Western world do pray. Some do it daily, some do it weekly, but a majority of people pray, so it's a everyday thing. While when we say, Lisa cast a spell for my brother to regain his health, suddenly it's weird. But really, it's just a word that's different, because the thing is exactly the same. So when Lisa prays, she will then basically try to communicate her need and wish to a greater power. It could be the Christian God, it could be a Hindu deity, it could be the god and the goddess in a pagan religion, it can be anything, but she tries to communicate and plead with said deity to grant her wish, that her friend's brother will regain his health. When doing a spell, she'd do exactly the same thing. It might be that she's then trying to communicate with a deity, or it might be that she's trying to direct energy that way. But in either way, she has an intent. She tries to communicate with quote-unquote supernatural forces to get an effect in the physical world. It's exactly the same thing. And by that, I mean magic is not strange. In America, I think it was 70% or something like that of people pray, 60 or 70% pray daily. So 60 to 70% of people do magic daily. It's not a weird thing, not to mention all the other things of magic that we do that we might not believe in completely, but that is still very much a part of everyday life. Like, for example, the blowing out of birthday candles and then making a wish. That's magic. Or a custom that's done a lot in Norway. I don't know if it's done in the United States. Where if you find a ladybug, you should gently, of course, pick her up. And then you hold your hand like this with the pointer finger up and let the little bug crawl up to the top of your finger, and as she flies, you say a little prayer, and it's supposed to bring you good luck. That's magic. Or tossing of salt over your shoulder if you should spill it, or to generally ward off bad luck. also magic. Basically, magic is so much more common than people think. It's not just something that weird people who wear long robes and so on and so forth do. It's something that the majority of the people on this earth do every day. And the only difference is that we who are occultists, we call it magic, while others call it by other words. Basically, it's the what's in a name thing. If I say, oh my friend, I hear that you are ill, I will pray for you. Nobody's gonna look at me oddly. They're just gonna assume she's religious. She will pray for me to get better. But if I say, I will go and cast a spell for you, then I think, oh, she must be crazy. But really, it's just the word. It's exactly the same thing. And some people, when they look at prayer, they think it's only about spiritual development. No, a lot of magic also is just for spiritual development. But what's so interesting about the video that I'm referring to, and I do recommend watching it, I'll link to it, like I said, is that it shows so many things that people pray for that also people who cast spells for, like was mentioned, parking spaces, to get that job, or even to hurt others. I mean, that's a curse. If you pray to God to harm your enemy, you are casting a curse. You might not use those words, but you are in actuality casting a curse. Now, of course, some people will think any religious action that you call it prayer, you call it spells, or you call it whatever, is stupid because they don't believe in anything like that. And fine, then you can continue to think I'm crazy even if when I say I do magic. But if you believe in prayer, or believe that at least it's completely sane to say that you are praying, then it becomes a little bit silly to say that somebody is crazy if they believe in magic, because it is exactly the same thing. So just tell me, what's the difference here? So you drive and you want a parking spot. So you say something like, Dear God, I beseech you to help me find a parking spot so I can get to work on time. Amen. How is that normal and completely okay? While if you call it magic, but say, Dear God and Goddess, I beseech you, help me find a parking spot so I can get some work on time. Amen. Then if you then call that a spell, it is somehow crazy. And I mean, it's a little bit odd that fiction gets this while real life doesn't. If you look at a Dungeons and Dragons manual, you will see magic, priest's magic, basically spells, and magic is just considered two different kinds of magic. They get it. While real life doesn't. I'm not saying that you should take real life advice from Dungeons and Dragons manuals, but I mean, it's exactly what it is. Because I think that some of the problem is that people don't realize what magic is. Magic is not, oh, and a fireball out of my anus, kaboom! Though I wouldn't mind that, but yes. Fireballs out of the anus is generally not the goal of magic. Do I believe it could possibly be possible? I believe anything is possible, but it's not that likely. Generally, what magic is, if you peel it down, magic is causing change, causing an effect with supernatural means. And that's exactly the same that prayer is. It's causing an effect with supernatural means. And it doesn't matter what you call your deity. It doesn't matter what name you put on your practice. It's the same thing. Of course, you can say that by my religion, praying to deity A is wrong. But it's still magic. You see, if you look at the Bible, if you look at the proverbs and quotes against magic, it's not really magic that's the problem. Because prayer is completely sanctioned, and I mean, Moses does magic left and right. The problem is basically it's the Bible say you should not then pray to other deities, and B, it's a problem with basically cutting out the middleman. It's a religion based on a distinct hierarchy. So that when you cut out the priest, cut out the middleman, and rather try to commune with God yourself through magic, through divination, through prayer, whatever, that becomes very dangerous to a hierarchy-driven religion. And as such, that is seen as a great sin. But it's still magic. It doesn't use that word, but it's still magic because we do exactly the same thing. It would be the same as somebody cooks their food in an oven made out of clay, and somebody cooks their food in an oven made of iron, and then the people that cook their food with an oven made of clay say that those that cook their food with an oven made of iron are crazy and evil. Sorry, my phone. Let me just turn it off. So yes, I was about done anyway. So now, of course, we could debate whether or not clay or iron are the best materials for said oven. But the process of cooking is the same. It's the same reaction that happens that makes the food not raw anymore. It's not like the clay oven cooks differently, that the clay oven makes something different. It cooks. Heat prepares the food the same as an iron oven where heat prepares the food. So yeah, just look at that video and tell me, that's magic. It's the exact same thing. So if somebody in the future, when somebody say they're a witch and say they use magic, don't look at them if they're crazy while you go home and pray, because you're doing the same thing. Of course, you can disagree on what deities to worship, but the metaphysical concepts behind the practices is exactly the same. That is what I wanted to say. So, have a great day, and blessed be.